What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Barnes, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio, in the building for another special video on today where we're talking about College Hill Celebrity Edition Season 2. We're going to be doing a recap of episode 1 and 2, and I already did my recap, 46 minutes for each one. However, I wanted to bring on our head of digital, Kroix Hansen, North Carolina A&T alumna, to talk about the show. Listen, we talk about TV all the time, and she's been on the team since 2020. This is our first time having her on. So, Kroix, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? I'm good.
Man, listen, I'm great. I've immersed myself in Power and also College Hill. So it's just a lot going on in my mind. So I'm ready to go on and get all of my thoughts with you out of here. So let's go on and get things started. So I want you to give us your quick thoughts on the first 2 episodes of College Hill Celebrity Edition.
First things first, just with the new season in general, I actually really like this cast. It's super chaotic, no less, but they really got some stars. I mean, Jocelyn, New York, Amber, Katie, I know her name is PP Parker. Ray J even coming back, Iman Shumpert, Orion, Quay. This was a good cast. I feel like there's definitely a better cast than last season. I feel like they were they were lackluster a little bit, but I feel like this cast is like, there are so many different personalities, so many different thoughts, ideas, opinions bouncing off. And I feel like that's why this season is already so chaotic and we're only 2 episodes in.
Who is your favorite cast member? Because, I talk about it in my recaps, and my favorite cast member, because, I'm not for all the drama. Parker's my favorite.
I was just about to say it's Parker.
So because Parker's around our age range, 27. Yeah. We know her from My Wife and Kids. She's not for the drama, although she got sucked into it. And she's really a very calming person. Like I love Parker.
I think that just with everything and how it started with her, she kind of just had to get sucked into it. It wasn't her fault though. I feel like she kind of was just trying to be sweet and go about her day. But because of her kindness, I think that was just taken for weakness, especially by Jocelyn. But that's because she is such a survivor and she is a victim, and hurt people. So that is exactly why Jocelyn moves the way she moves, especially with Parker. I feel like she just knew, like, Parker is just a young girl. She's just a sweet, young, calm girl. And I just honestly don't like that, because you picked on her and you did all that stuff because you knew you could, because you knew what type of person she was. And I just don't like when people do that. Like, you know what you're dealing with, so you're going above and beyond to, like, really twist the knife with her and really mess with her. So that's how I feel about that. But I definitely love me some Parker. And Orion. Orion is calm. Orion's crazy and all that stuff, but I like him.
I wasn't that familiar with Orion. I had to do my research on him because I thought Orion was Omarion until like last year. Like, honestly, I was like, because I was, is that 2 Omarions eating watermelon at the Versus? But I'm like, oh, that's his brother Orion. I didn't know he had a brother. But Orion's pretty cool though. I think Orion is really smooth. And I think that with Orion, and we're gonna talk about it in a second. Orion about to get into an entanglement. We're gonna talk about that in a little second with New York.
That's
yeah.
For TV. That's for TV. That's TV.
Hey, we'll see. It might be for the internet. We'll see. Let's talk about episode 1. Just a few of the big topics and big situations in episode 1. So of course the biggest scene that came from episode 1 was Jocelyn versus New York over her quote dogged her. Her dog her. So Parker told Jocelyn that New York was referring to her dog when they had that conversation about her losing her daughter and her grieving. And then Jocelyn was upset because she felt as if New York was doing the most. And I honestly feel like also Jocelyn felt like she was being manipulated by, thinking that her daughter died when it was actually her dog. And Jocelyn ain't feeling, being sad over dogs or whatever. So Jocelyn goes to confront New York for what she thinks was New York lying to her. And then they get into it. New York is acting all extra. I personally did not like that at all. And I talked about it in my recap of it. So Jocelyn, as they're getting into it, then asks, how could she help her get through the grief? And if she should just not talk about it. And New York says the best way that Jocelyn can help is by honestly leaving. Then it goes left because Jocelyn thinks that New York is coming for her. And then New York just starts screaming, like a mad woman. And that was like the big scene and the big topic of episode 1, because that influenced a lot of what happened moving forward. So Kroix, what were you thinking about what happened with Jocelyn and New York over the dog?
Personally, first of all, the way that Tiffany just brought it up, and I mean, of course, grieving people sometimes overshare, so I guess, but like for her to just bring up like I gained 20 pounds because I'm grieving my dog, da 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 da, I was just like, okay, like we just went left here. She's like, I'm going to wellness camp, da 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 da. Amazing. I'm going to wellness camp right after this, that all this good stuff. And I'm like, that's cool, whatever. You know, sometimes people overshare. But then she like, for her to stop Jocelyn in her tracks and just be like, Jocelyn, I gained 20 pounds because da 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 da. And Jocelyn is like, what are you, Jocelyn doesn't, her sympathy card is in hell. So she's like, what is this about? And then she was like, my dog, Jocelyn's like, I don't care about a dog. Like, I don't care about a dog. And then I guess she brought it up again, and then she was like, my daughter, I lost my daughter. And, she was like grieving, all that stuff. I guess Jocelyn felt sympathy. But I honestly feel like for Jocelyn to like come and confront her, like, why did you lie and say that it was your daughter and not your dog? And she's like, it is like my daughter. Like, I just feel like even if you felt like Tiffany was doing the most, which she was, for you to confront somebody and tell them how they should feel about how they're grieving is just crazy. Like, just don't deal with it. How are you going to be mad about how she feels about her dog? You don't know what that dog meant to her. You're not in her position. You can't tell her how she's supposed to feel about a dog. It's her decision. It's what she wants to do. She wants to be crazy about a dog, she can do that.
Now, here's my thing, though, Kroix. Here's my thing. Okay. Now, I feel like Jocelyn was in the wrong how she came about the situation, because it really wasn't that deep. But I was very critical of Jocelyn watching the show. But I do think on this one, it wasn't all her, because New York was acting freaking unhinged that first episode.
It was, that's all I was saying. Like, for her to, I just feel like for Tiffany to bring it up and let everybody know as soon as, like, even if you were talking about it with Quay and that was y'all conversation and you wanted to be open with him, but then you stopped every single person that you saw in their tracks and was like, oh my gosh, I lost my dog, da 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 da, I gained 20 pounds, my doctor, da 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 da. Like, I just feel like you were asking for that attention, and then when you got reactions that you didn't want from it, you got upset. And I feel like you open yours, not to say that it was right, but you did open yourself up for people's opinions on your situation when you continue to talk about it. You can't be mad when somebody has an opinion on why you're upset or on what you're doing when you're explaining it to them and you're telling them, you're expecting them to have a reaction, but you just wanted sympathy. You just wanted attention. And that's cool, but she also has to know who she's dealing with. Why would you think that you're going to tell Jocelyn Hernandez, this lady who grew up on the slums of the streets of Puerto Rico, who has been fighting all of her life? This lady has been fighting all of her life. She's still fighting now. To this day, she's still fighting. Like, I just feel like for you to think that she's going to have the sympathy and give you the response you want is foolish. I don't know why you expected that from her.
But to be fair, and a lot of folks were saying this that are from the reality TV, side of the community. I'm from, of course, the HBCU side of the community. I don't watch a lot of reality TV. They were saying, well, New York sort of worked Jocelyn because she did get the intended sympathy that she wanted when she said it's her daughter. And Jocelyn showed sympathy that I didn't think Jocelyn had anymore, because she really felt bad when she said, I lost my daughter and I'm grieving. She hugged her in the whole 9 yards.
She can relate. She has a daughter. She has a young daughter. So she definitely can relate and she feels that. But I feel like because Jocelyn has, and if I'm not mistaken, I feel like she brought up it was a dog at first outside, and then Jocelyn came back and was like, this is my, and then Tiffany explained this is my daughter, so then she like reversed it. But then that's why I was like, I don't know why Jocelyn, I guess maybe she wasn't thinking about it, because she told you it was a dog at first and then she tells you it's the daughter. So shouldn't you put two and two together or think like, okay, she's still talking about the same thing? So I feel like for her, the reaction was crazy. Like, you lied to me. She told you it was a dog at first. She told you. I just feel like I like that situation was just, but once again, reality TV, they had to make the drama. They had to do what they needed to do. But I do think that it was just completely blown out of proportion on both ends. Like, the screaming was a lot. Like, the manic screaming at the end was like, oh my God, like, please. Tiffany, please. Like, I understand you're grieving right now. We're grieving the puppy. But but it was both of them, because she asked Jocelyn to leave the room several times, and Jocelyn's like, I'm not leaving. Why are you trying to provoke this? Why are you trying to ensue this? Why are you trying to make this a thing when Tiffany, as she said, what can I do? She asked you to leave the room, and then you're like, no. So, like, you're not doing anything to help. You're just provoking me. You're just making me upset. So, obviously, Jocelyn is going to make herself kind of the most hated in the house off that first offense alone on the first day. And that's not even the last offense of the day on the first day. Like,
and it was not at all, because, of course, after that led Jocelyn to being very upset, and she locked Parker out of their shared room. And I workshopped an idea. So before we get into this, I want to share this idea with you, because we both have HBCU experience, me at Fort Valley State University and you in North Carolina A&T, both public institutions. And we've dealt with RAs and ROCs, where you got the RA, that's the student that's over the dorm, unlocks the doors, makes sure everything's all good. And the ROC, that's the adult in the room to make sure everything's all good. And oftentimes they do not play. So do you think after last year with Stacey Dash and this year with Jocelyn and Parker, and of course Quinn, New York doing what they did, do you think it's time that we finally get a non-celebrity RA or ROC or RAROC combination on College Show Celebrity Edition?
Yes, I do. At first, when I saw, like, in your notes you saying that, I was like, maybe, but this is also like before I watched it, because I read your notes, watched it, then read it after. Definitely think that there needs to be somebody in the house. They need to have a house mother. Like Frida, that's another thing too. Like, they had Frida last season to kind of play house mother. So it was easy for, and not to say that she was like really in control of everything, but she kept things kind of in order as much as she possibly could. I just feel like this season, there is no, like, the leaders of the house are Tiffany, Amber, and Jocelyn. Neither of the three are fit to really set rules and set boundaries in the house, because all of them have their own issues that they need to deal with. So I definitely feel like I definitely think maybe whoever the director of resident housing is, or whoever, somebody like that. It definitely doesn't need to be somebody undergrad. It needs to be a graduate, like the GA, the graduate advisor, or somebody older. Maybe Dr. Petty, like somebody of a Dr. Petty stature, but somebody who is working for the institution that can come through and keep things in order. I definitely think it should be somebody who is a part of the institution. I don't think it should just be a regular security guard that they just go ahead and find. It needs to be somebody who works for the institution to really give it that college experience.
So let's talk about Jocelyn and the Parker situation, because so we both agree that maybe they should get a non-celebrity, at the very least ROC, maybe not an RA or student, but maybe an ROC that's not afraid of them. They probably can fight too, you know what I'm saying, and really get everything all together. So what happened was this, and this is the reason really spurred the thought for me. So Jocelyn gets mad, goes into the room, and she locks Parker out of the room. And like 2 hours had passed since, the argument, and Parker said, quote, I got to knock to get my own stuff. And Parker just kept knocking, said it's PP, like just trying to be nice about it. And Jocelyn would not open the door. And she just keeps knocking and knocking and knocking. So eventually Parker goes down, tells the other celebrities, and says what's going on. Not like, oh, we to confront her. It's just like, I can't get in my room because Jocelyn got her locked out. So Ray J, who I think is another sort of force that tries to be sort of the big man.
Be leader, yes, he does.
Yeah, so Ray J tries to be the big man in the house, although he does not know how to do his laundry. That's a whole nother different conversation. But like, that's a whole different.
How to do laundry? I'm like, why is Amber Rose teaching you how to do laundry when you have a wife?
And he's like 41. But anyway, so he tries to hold it down. He held it down. I gotta admit, he held it down in those social situations. So Ray J goes up and tells Jocelyn that Parker keeps getting locked out, but she doesn't know how to tell Jocelyn. And Jocelyn gets offended and intimates that Parker's messy. And then we discover that the line that Jocelyn said in the trailer, that if they keep pushing her, they'll get what they're looking for, was directly about Parker basically telling the cast that I can't get in my room. And then Jocelyn tells Parker that, hey, she's a fake, young lady, and that's her ex roommate. And it was a lot to unpack, and I was really hurt because, like I said, I love Parker. We love Parker. So what did you think about this whole situation? Now she acted at the end of the episode.
Jocelyn obviously is unhinged and doesn't know how to deal with criticism. And she's also like a hypocrite. Like, she's a hypocrite. She's unhinged. She's delusional. And she, like, this, you know, like, you're a liar. You know this girl has been knocking on your door. And then when Ray J tells you, like, oh, she's been trying to get in. Why didn't she come tell me? Why didn't she come tell me? Why is she running to y'all? Baby, she tried. She knocked on the door several times. She may not have your number. Like, I mean, but even still, if you're in the room folding the clothes and stuff, and you hear me saying it's PP, and you got the door locked, you heard me. And you obviously didn't want me to come into a room that we share. That's not fair. So obviously I did have to get some reinforcements to come and deal with it. Like, I just feel like Jocelyn's being, but like, just like how Ray J said, she's being, not being a bully. She's running it like it's a penitentiary. Like, but she's being a big bully. She's trying to act like she's the leader of the gang in the jail. Like, it's always survival with Jocelyn. It's always survival. It's always like, I gotta put me first. I gotta set a certain tone. I gotta set a certain dominance. And then, like, that's when she was like, oh, they don't like me. They don't want me to part of their group. Ma'am, you're just like how Stacey Dash was. You are purposely excluding yourself from being a part of this group, from being a part of being cool with everybody, because you're being weird and you want to be stuck in your own ways. Like, Parker, that's what, once again, she knew that she could do that to Parker. She knew that she can continue to lock her out of her room, and she knew that she could continue to push her because she knows what type of person that Parker is. She knows she's a sweet girl. She knows she's not the girls that she used to get dealing with on Jocelyn's Cabaret. That's why even the next morning when they were getting ready for class and she was going back and forth with her and all that, she knew she could do that. She knew she could drag it on out because she knew that what all Parker's going to do is just move away. She's not going to get into it with her. She's not going to try to fight her. She's just going to distance herself from it. And it's sad because Parker was actually very excited to be rooming with Jocelyn. It's sad.
And Jocelyn sort of ruined Parker's energy for a little second, because you look at episode 2, and we'll get to that in a second, but Parker was on her SpongeBob I'm ready swag, had the backpack, had the first day of school outfit, and she was like, I am ready to get my education. She goes to that room and Jocelyn just accosts her, calls her the B word, just all these different things, and this was being just extra to her.
Yes, like, I just feel like, but like, Jocelyn's a bully. She's a bully, and that's what she does. But that's because she's been bullied all of her life and hurt. Like I said in the beginning, hurt people. She's hurt. She's a victim herself. She still has obviously a lot of things that she needs to unpack within herself and deal with within herself. And she is the type of person that projects onto everybody else whatever she has going on internally. That's all she knows how to do.
Exactly. So I want to skip to Amber Rose so we can get to episode 2, because episode 2 is when things got really interesting. Yeah. So Amber Rose is an atheist, and she said that in the orientation class. And the reason why she said that is because she did not want to learn the alma mater because it talked about God. And Dr. Petty agreed to change her assignment. And of course, we know that Kroix had a fit about it that led into episode 2. He really was just, he found it odd that Amber was an atheist because they've been cool for so long, and Kroix just simply didn't know. But here's the thing. So I don't know if people got the chance to really go look and investigate and see Alabama State's alma mater, because I think a lot of folks that might not, be in the college life, they know about college, they called it a hymn. So I was like, a hymn? And I was like, I typed in Alabama State hymn. I'm like, oh, the alma mater. So this is the part, I'm gonna put it up on the screen. This is the part of the alma mater that Amber saw. She scanned to the end and she was like, no, they said God twice, talked about he does all right and good and makes for liberty. And I had a whole entire diatribe about it, Kroix, about how I understand that Amber is an atheist. I have an atheist in my family, that I love and that I engage with, and it's all good. I mean, I'm not super uber religious, you know what I'm saying? But I do my thing, you know what I'm saying? But it's all about accepting folks that have different beliefs and being in spaces that might be a little bit uncomfortable, but you learn about other things and other people. And I feel as if with Amber being at an HBCU and then being in African-American history and African-American literature, like, Black folks are just spiritual people, and religion, especially Christianity, has been a part of the fabric of Black history for the hundreds of years, from slavery to civil rights to even now. So you're not going to talk about anything concerning Black folks and anything historically with Black folks if you're not talking about religion in some context. So I personally thought that Amber, although I respect her beliefs and her opinions, and she should have the right to have that, and she is open to having that discussion in class like she did in episode 2, and raising how she feels about being an atheist in the Black church and all that, because college is supposed to be the expression of opinions in the debate of ideas. But at the same time, this is the history of the school, and you just simply can't do that because now you're teetering on disrespect. But what did you think?
I feel like you said, I basically agree with what you say. It's just one thing to have your beliefs in something and, be firm on that. And that's understandable. But I also feel like for you to just outright be like, I'm not singing this. Look, I understand how you feel about God and how strongly you feel about it. Like me and you have discussed, because, she went through so much in her life. It's understandable that she feels like, how could there be a God if I keep getting put down with no sign of coming up for air? So I definitely get her belief for sure. But then I also feel like, just like how you want everyone to respect you and your belief in atheism, you have to give them the same respect in how they feel about Christianity. Like, you can't be mad when someone feels a certain way about Christianity, or you say something disrespectful toward Christianity and somebody gets offended. It's just like, it's your belief, it's theirs. You can't be, you have to give where you want to receive. That's my biggest thing. And for her to just up and feel like, oh, I'm not about to sing the song and make not a scene, but just be so like dismissive about wanting to sing the song, it's just like, if you don't like, how people be like, you can say watermelon, watermelon, watermelon and look like you're saying all the lyrics. Like, just mouth it. Like, if it's really that deep for you, just mouth it. Like, you don't have to say it, but just at least be respectful.
Kroix, you really brought me back to a moment in time when I was an orientation leader, because I was orientation leader for 4 years at Fort Valley, because I graduated in the fall semester. So that fall, I brought in the freshmen that came in, I believe in 2021. Those are my folks that were graduating in 2021. And I was trying to teach one of I think it was like a group of girls. We have a chant called the hump, and other schools do the hump too. But it's like, Fort Valley got the hump, and then you do a humping motion. And one thing I noticed is that I'm not a dancer, so it's sort of odd. And I noticed that over my time being an orientation leader, that a lot of the women didn't want to do that humping motion because it is innately sexual when it comes to that. So I was always the cool orientation leader. I'm not trying to force nobody to do nothing. I was like, y'all, because they were like, hey, get on them, go get them. They're not doing it. Tell them to do it. And I was like, y'all, listen, I'm not tripping. I understand that, the humping motion might be a little bit much, but y'all just sing, like just say watermelon, do whatever. And I remember there was a girl that looked at me so crazy. I'm like, hey, you all good? And she's like, I don't want to sing it. And I'm like, okay, you don't got to sing it. I'm just saying it. And she's like, why are you over here? Like, I want my boyfriend. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be over here. All right, you do you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the word? So that brought me back, because I told somebody that before, and they went just crazy at me. Like, I was saying, you better get up and hump. Like, no, I wasn't saying that. I'm saying I respect you, and I understand how that can look and how that can be uncomfortable. But at the same time, just for the tradition of the school, you can know the customs of the school and what folks doing at the football games, just listen and at least pretend like you're engaging. And of course, the girl eventually transferred out, like I think at the end of the first semester. So she ain't talking about the Humpty Dump. She ain't doing all of that. But I'm just saying, like, that brought me back, Kroix. I'm unpacking trauma to you right now, Kroix, just like Amber was, Kroix.
Yeah, but this is a little bit different than Miss Amber. I just feel like with that, like, when people are just so adamant and just refuse to do something because that's just what it is for them, and they, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, but I just feel like it's the history of it that's a little different. They're asking you to sing a hump song at the school for the orientation for the school that you're attending. If you feel weird or uncomfortable doing it, you don't have to do the motion. Just sing the song, baby. Or if you don't want to sing the song, mouth it, whatever. Just act like you're engaged. Like, it's understandable for you to not want to do the full out motion, but just act like it. And if you really don't like it that bad, you can do what old girl did and leave. It's that simple. Just go. But like, to your point of HBCUs and, their root in Christianity and spirituality in general, I do feel like, just as much as Amber does her research on atheism and all that, she should have known enough about HBCUs or about Alabama State to know that Christianity is a prominent key to a lot of HBCUs. Whether, it's something that we can agree or disagree upon, that's a whole different situation for a whole nother story. But I just feel like if you're about to attend an institution, that's like going to a Christian college and then being mad when you have to follow the Christian rules. Like, not to say that all HBCUs are Christian colleges, or even Alabama State is a Christian college. The basis is knowing that HBCUs, a lot of them are rooted deeply in Christianity, and you're gonna come across that, whether it's right or not. That's what it is. So I just feel like as much as you do research on everything else, you should have done research enough to know that.
And another big thing too is that you have HBCU Christian colleges that are Methodist or Baptist, and a lot of HBCUs were started by churches. Like, some of them were started by churches, and that's where a lot of the undertone of Christianity comes from. And I know that you have the supposed separation of church and state, and a lot of HBCUs are state institutions, but there's always gonna be that undertone. You're in Alabama, you're in the Bible Belt. So like, I feel like Amber just needs to open her mind to that. And like, I wasn't really too pressed by it because, that's her, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I do think that it got to a point where she was being really smug about it, especially in that civil rights course. But I will say this about Kroix, though. I said this in episode 2 recap. I'll say this about Kroix. Kroix was sort of doing the most too, honestly, to me. Because I'm like, I understand she's being smug about it and she's doing a lot, and you've never interfaced with an atheist. But man, you grown. You were grown, and that is your friend. And I believe that, yes, religion can influence your moral compass, but at the same time, other people have different ways that they go about their morality. And I don't think that Amber's morality, especially in the Jocelyn situation, was so wild, because all she was saying is that I've been hurt so much, I'm not gonna let that toxicity get to me. And she don't gotta say praise the Lord, thank you Jesus, to say I don't rock with that girl because she's treating me wrong. And that's her prerogative. She didn't have to be informed by a religious ideology to say I'm gonna forgive Jocelyn, because Jocelyn was going crazy at her. But then we saw her basically forgive Jocelyn at the end of the episode. So I didn't like that from Kroix. Just to be honest, I didn't like that from Kroix either.
Yeah, I just feel like, honestly, everybody wants everyone to be respectful of their beliefs and their religions, but they don't want to give the people back the same thing. Like, they don't want to, they don't want to give them any type of leeway, any type of options to open up their opinions. I feel like even like when they got back to the house and Amber was like mocking Christian people and how they move and how they work, I just feel like, Amber, like, how can you be mad that he feels a way about how you're feeling as an atheist when you're not even just being open? Like, I feel like a lot of times most atheists, just like, they don't believe there's a God and all that stuff, but I feel like a lot of them don't try to push their agenda on other people. Like, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But stop trying to push your gospel about atheism on everyone else. Same thing with Christianity. You stop trying to push that to other people if that's not what they want. If she's already let you know this, I know it, but it was super uncomfortable for him though. What I will say, like, I understand him getting up and walking away and needing a minute, because I just feel like you're not making a mockery of my situation and of my religion and my belief when you're mad when we do stuff, when you didn't want to say God in a song. Like, come on now. Like, we have to be serious, and we have to be real, and we have to call a spade a spade. Like that. Now that is hypocritical. Like, I just feel like it's simply hypocritical. You can't be mad at how he feels about God when you feel that way about atheism. I want her to let that die. And like you said, I do feel like just because she is an atheist does not mean that she doesn't have, like, her situation with Jocelyn, like, she was able to have a conversation and really talk it out. And even though I do feel like she was dragging it when she was like, I don't think I've met a lot of women that have been in the same situation or same circumstance as me. What are you talking about? You haven't met several women in your slut walk that have been in the sex industry like you, or have been, whether it's through, movies or stripping or whatever the case that you're deciding to do, being a sex worker in some way, shape, or form. You're telling me you haven't met women like that? What are you talking? I was like, you're dragging it with that. I was like, okay, girl. Like,
but you also got to realize that she wasn't familiar with Jocelyn. Like, she said that she had DM'd Jocelyn and they exchanged pleasantries, talked about how beautiful the kids were. And then when she experienced Jocelyn for herself, she's like, I didn't know she was like this. When it's like Jocelyn's whole brand is this. So I'm like, you did. So you're telling me that as someone that was not watching reality TV, you know, in the mid 2000s, I was watching basketball and outside in college and all that. I knew what Jocelyn was doing. I don't watch Jocelyn's Cabaret. I don't have Zeus, but I know about double homicide and all the stuff that Jocelyn said. So you're telling me you haven't seen that, Amber? And you're on social media, you're an influencer?
She's on the Shade Room. I feel like all these, like, I feel like they're trying to act like, oh, I've never met these people out of, you know, with a clean slate. You are, first of all, you knew who the cast was before you even came onto the show. So even if you're like, I didn't know who this person was, you definitely did your research on who they were beforehand. I just feel like Jocelyn has so many crazy lines and so many different things that go on. She got mad at a girl for coughing and sneezing while she was talking about, why are you sneezing at me? Like, this is a very, very aggressive and prominently aggressive person. This isn't no secret about who Jocelyn is. That's why Jocelyn's like, they know who I am. They know how I get down, and they know this is me. Not to say that this is right, but she is right in that term. Everyone in the house knows how Jocelyn gets down. That's not a secret. I think that if they did think that Jocelyn was going to come on there all sweet and nice, she's not. Because at the end of the day, this is still a reality TV show to her. So she's still going to move like how she's been moving in all reality TV. And her last show that she just did was some of the most aggressive TV I've ever seen in my entire life. So she's already coming off of that high. Like, that was Jocelyn's Cabaret was her last appearance on TV. I think she may have hosted a Baddies West or a Baddies whatever, a Baddies reunion. But once again, aggressive TV. That's her nature. So she's already coming in, and you're dealing with a house. You're dealing with a house of people. I know it's obviously a different nature because it's college and all that. It's not like the Bad Girls Clubhouse where like you're literally fighting to the death. Like, you're trying to like make yourself the baddest girl. But I feel like Jocelyn just goes out of her way.
So let me ask you this to end off. So number one, do you think, because episode 1 and episode 2, New York was different. She felt very toned down outside of her singing that terribly singing that spiritual, and that led to you know, Amber talking about the black church and whatnot. I feel as if New York was.
Question. I did like that question. It was a lot, and it was super like, but I did like how she was like thought provoking in that to ask if do you believe that there is a black church?
Yeah, I didn't mind it. Yeah, that was good.
That was a good question. Because I feel like it's a lot of division in that realm of Christianity for sure. And, you know, just like how they were even talking about in the civil rights class about how, you know, the white settlers use Christianity as a way to justify the things that they were doing to us as Black people, the things that they were doing to our ancestors, and how we have taken that and embodied it and made it so much of our identity. I understand why she asked that question at being an atheist. I get that.
And like I said, I think that we hear a lot about college and how college is a liberal institution, and as students we're being indoctrinated and all this different stuff like that. But this has happened in college. I've been in classrooms where professors have opened up the floor for real debate and discussion about political issues, about issues regarding gender, about issues regarding religion. That happens at all institutions. It's not insulated like, oh, we don't like white people. Like, no, that simply is not the case. And I think that what's going on now, especially in this political season, that it's really a shift of like, oh, well, this is one thing that college is, so let's enact policy to change college. Stop woke. But what you saw with Amber is an atheist. Everybody else in there most likely is a Christian in some form. They're either devout or they're more so casual in their Christianity, but they have some level of spirituality. And they still had that conversation. That happens. And I thought that Dr. Petty handled it well. And I think that says a lot about the amazing professors that they have at Alabama State, because the professors that I've seen, they've been top notch. And it brings me back to the professors that I've loved, like Dr. Fields at Fort Valley, Miss Jawan Brown at Fort Valley, Dr. Booz at Fort Valley, like Dr. Lee. Like, it really brings me back to the professors that I had when we had those real conversations. So I thought that was really dope. But I gotta ask this, because we went real deep, real intellectual, and we're about to get into, like, you know, he say, she say. Do you think that the reason why New York toned down is because of Orion? Because she started like looking at Orion like, I'm feeling Orion, and I feel like she toned it down a lot and started being real cool. Do you think it's because of Orion?
I wouldn't be surprised if that was a driving force. Tiffany likes her man, you know what I'm saying? Whether she does have a fiance or not. I thought that was crazy in class for her to say that her white fiance makes her sick when she sees stuff on TV. I was like, she's like, I can't talk to him. I can't, she's like, I'm sick. But I'm like, baby, well, that was something that you should have thought about before you got engaged. Because I think this is any interracial relationship. You already know when political things arise. That's why you have to have that talk before y'all even get in too deep about the beliefs and what's going on. Because me personally, if I am dating somebody of a different race, especially if they are Caucasian, we're going to have to be on the same page with politics. We can't have too many differing opinions about that. We cannot be a household divided on that. Certain things I feel like you can agree to disagree, but not the big stuff like abortion, the presidential election, that stuff. That's going to really put a strain on a household. And I just think that that's too much. So for Tiffany to say that her man makes her sick to her stomach when she sees him, when there's stuff going on, between the different races in the news and stuff, I thought that was just absolutely crazy. But I mean, she said a lot of crazy things like, can I bring a cocktail to class?
But I feel as if she was sort of being real, and I don't know if she rationalized that like your fiance could see this. And I want to ask this as well.
Sure she was well aware that her fiance can see this.
Well, it is New York. She's been on reality TV almost her whole life. Really, I think over half of her life. But do you think that her fiance is gonna call off the engagement? Because I probably would. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not secure enough to see that.
But I also feel like Orion and Tiffany is always, she's a reality TV star, but she's also a romantic. We know her from the beginning of knowing her on The Flavor of Love. And then from then she gets her spinoff, I Love New York. So it's always been about finding love for her. Even if, it's a more so about the limelight and the entertainment that she brings, we've always seen her in the light of trying to find love. So I think that either her and her man must have discussed this, or they have an agreement, or whatever the case. If they have an understanding and agreement, they have an understanding and agreement. But I think it's very hard for me to believe that somebody that you make your fiance, and you're talking about having a fiance on TV, saying and like doing that, and him not being aware, or him not knowing that you're doing that on TV for everyone to see, is quite crazy. But I don't think that she's that crazy, especially if she plans to stay with this man. I think that they either have an understanding, or maybe she's really off her rocker. But I'm pretty sure there's an understanding there.
I think it's both. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think that's why there is an understanding, because her man obviously knows she's off her rocker.
I think the rocket chair is broken, Kroix. At this point, she was acting the rocking chair ain't rocking no more, Kroix. It's just she off it.
I mean, granted, if it was me and I was her man, would I agree to that agreement? Maybe, but I think that she's also taking it to another level. The running the bath with the flowers and the candles, talking about I wanted to impress him. You have a fiance at home. Why are you trying to impress this man here? I just don't think it's a good look in general. Like, I just feel like being flirty or whatever is one thing, but like to do the whole nine of trying to like romantically pursue this person when this is really just for TV and really just for another plot, another storyline in the show, I don't think it's worth it. If she was single, it'd be one thing, but she's claiming to have a fiance.
Very, very, very much taken. Very, very much about to get married, it seems. But anyway, like we're gonna get more into that as we go into the rest of the season, because there's a lot that goes on. We have a full recap. I did a full recap of episode 1 and 2. Make sure to go check that out. It's 46 minutes, so just go. I had a bunch of notes. I had a lot to talk about. You know what I'm saying? So just know it's not boring. But Kroix, this was amazing. One last thing before we go, I'm gonna get your social media. Of course, we're gonna promote HBCU Pulse, of course, too. But what do you rate these first 2 episodes? I want you to give a rating for the first 2 episodes.
These are like an 8.5, 9 out of 10. They're coming crazy out the gate. I feel like to compare Texas Southern and to compare Alabama State, I feel like for the most part, the drama was surrounded around Stacey Dash and everything that she had going on, and everyone else in the house was kind of chill on even Lamar, even though Lamar was dirty. Like everyone else was like kind of chill and just trying to get to know each other and trying to figure out everyone out. Like Stacey from the get was just trying to be the problem child, and she ejected herself almost immediately. I think with Jocelyn and then Tiffany and then Amber, you have so many more big personalities this season than last season. Like they're just so much more. There's so much more, especially like that Tiffany, Jocelyn, Amber, Ray J is crazy. Like that is crazy.
It's having all in the same house. And then the fact that Tiffany and Ray J are a significant part of my childhood, because I watched Flavor of Love and I Love New York, and I used to watch For the Love of Ray J. I used to watch For the Love of Ray J too.
They're all they picked very significant reality stars. These are not, like last season, they were a little calmer. Like Dream Doll is calm. India was calm. Like, that's calm. These people, they chose a very chaotic group, and it was very intentional. They wanted to shake the table up a little bit more, for sure. They definitely wanted to make some more shake.
But Kroix, tell everyone where they can find you on social media. And I want you to tell the folks about HBCU Pulse, what we got going on.
Okay. So they can find me personally on social media at Krizzy, KRIZZYY, 1_ on Instagram, 2_ on Twitter. And yeah, I am the head of digital for HBCU Pulse. So those posts you see are curated by yours truly. We have a lot of good things in the works, especially this upcoming summer, just prepping for the new school year. So we're very excited to see how everything pans out, especially once we hit August, we get to homecoming season. We're coming full steam ahead. So just definitely be on the lookout for what we got coming.
Most definitely. Make sure to follow HBCU Pulse on Instagram and YouTube, Twitter and TikTok, the HBCU Pulse. Listen to HBCU Pulse Radio on SiriusXM. Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, SiriusXM, channel 142, HBCU. If you want to donate to us for all this good work we do and talking about College Hill, Cash App, $ HBCU Pulse, or PayPal.me/HBCU Pulse. We need it if we want to keep paying for BET Plus, because I might let it go. I might let it go and go where the Power Leagues be at. I might go where the Power Leagues be at, to be honest. I might just see if they leaking College Hill at this point. But no, I'm just playing BET. I'm not going to actually do that. But all right. Outside of that, we'll see you on the other side. We'll catch you next time.
Like what you hear?
Yeah.
Subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, head to HBCUPulse.com to stay up to date on what's going on in the HBCU community. Thank you for listening to HBCU Pulse Radio.